everybody. It's Michelle with ASIS Massage Education. Welcome to our live stream today. Happy Friday afternoon to those of you joining us live. And thanks for watching us on the replays. For those of you watching us later on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. Today, I am going to be introducing one of our continuing education providers is going to be providing a class for us down in our Tucson campus the first part of February. I thought the topic of the class was really exciting and lots of great things that can be added to a massage therapist session and can enhance their treatment planning and everything for helping pain relief. So I asked her to come onto the show today to have a little chat and talk a little bit more about what's going to be what people can look forward to in the class and get to know her a little bit. So Raizelah is a licensed massage therapist, a registered yoga instructor, and an NCB-TMB approved provider. Has been practicing for over 30 years. Offering both acupressure and massage therapy sessions, as well as instruction in yoga, massage, and wellness workshops. She is very passionate about teaching and has trained massage therapists for over 20 years, teaching not only skills, but how to deliver compassionate touch and presence. I had to steal that from her website because I thought that was awesome. And so without further ado, let's bring on Raizelah to the screen, our show. Hello.
Hi, Michelle. So nice to see you.
So thank you so much for coming on today. And I know we've been kind of talking a little bit behind the scenes, and I've seen what the different offerings that you had to possibly put on our schedule here at ASIS for continuing education credits. So I thought it was really fascinating work. For one, we'll get into this. A lot of it is a lot of Eastern modalities that I am not familiar with that well. I mean, I know of them, but I was not trained in them. So I'm always fascinated to learn more about it. And I always love to see our students learn about it too in the school and kind of open up their eyes to different things that they can incorporate into their sessions and make it a really well-rounded approach to body work and possibly even pursue the Asian body work a little bit more detail. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and like, how did you get into body work and how did that translate and how did Eastern modalities speak to you and how did you kind of go into that avenue with your body work?
Yeah, well, I mean, this was a long time ago, as you mentioned, over 30 years ago. I first got certified in massage, in integrative massage, and I started to work on people. And actually, I started to feel the meridian lines, the energy pathways on people. And that kind of intrigued me. And I thought, what's this about? I want to learn more about this. I was living in Berkeley, California at the time, which had a very big school in Eastern massage and acupressure. It's called the Acupressure Institute.
Great.
So I thought, I'll go check it out. I took a workshop. Well, 700 hours later.
Yeah. That was a really long workshop.
I loved it. And then right downstairs from the Acupressure Institute was the Institute for Chinese Herbology. So I started to practice herbology, and they referred me also to another acupressure school, Jinshin Jitsu, which is a method from Japan. And as much as I love to teach, I love to learn. So I just kept taking classes. Yeah. And that was my entryway.
Yeah. I think some of the best teachers are the ones that keep learning too, right? It not only enhances what we're teaching all the time, but it just opens your eyes to so many things. It's so amazing. I love that. So do you practice or at all any of like the more Western modalities, or did you learn any of that as you were going along, or was it all Eastern?
No, I definitely learned Swedish, deep tissue, sports massage, pregnancy massage, oncology massage. In fact, I've taught several of those modalities as well when I was teaching in a massage certification program before I had my own CEU school. I really taught a mix of Eastern and Western modalities. And I've also trained in spas, a mix of Eastern and Western modalities. But I think what's closest to my heart and my deepest passion is the approach from the East, the Chinese perspective on healing.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What's the takeaway, or what's maybe one of the biggest differences that you see, or or maybe what drew you more specifically? Because I'm sure there's a lot of differences, right? I'm not going to put it all in one little talking point, but for what spoke to you mostly.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say there are differences and commonalities.
Mhm.
I think what really spoke to me about the Chinese approach to healing and working with the body is that it really it works not just with the physical body, but every acupressure point, every meridian, every one of the 5 elements has a function not only physically, but
Mhm.
also emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So you're really addressing the whole body, and it gives you a gateway into some of the mental, emotional, or spiritual underpinnings for physical pain and tension. So I find it especially helpful when you have clients that have chronic tension patterns,
Mhm.
chronic pain patterns,
Mhm.
and doing muscular release is helping, but not in a sustained way.
Mhm.
Often it helps, and then the tension or the pain comes back, and then I feel like then the invitation is to go a little deeper. Well, what's going on underneath this? Maybe
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and Chinese medicine gives us a chance to work on all the levels. And
Yeah.
in fact, even if we're not conscious of it, when the chi starts to move through the body, it clears
Mhm.
muscular tension, but it also helps release emotions. It
Yeah.
also brings things to the surface that the client might not be aware of.
Mhm.
And so without even trying
Mhm.
necessarily to, let's say, work on emotional release, it can
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
And then our job is just to be present and hold the space and with compassion.
Yeah, that's so I want to go back to that in a second, but just real quick for anybody who might be watching and doesn't know what the word cheese is, can you explain that a little bit?
Chi is like the battery of life. One of my acupressure teachers actually likened it to a car battery. You can have a car engine with all of the parts,
Uh-huh.
but if the battery isn't charged and you turn the ignition, nothing's going to run, right?
Uh-huh.
Same
Mhm.
thing. If you look at a corpse, it could be a body with all of the same internal organs that you and I have, but
Mhm.
what makes the heart beat? What makes the digestive enzymes secrete? What makes
Uh-huh.
the lymph fluid move?
Yeah.
It's the animating force,
Right.
not only in each of us, but in all of nature.
Oh, that's awesome. I've heard before it described as life force before, and I think you can see it spelled differently sometimes, like the XI or with the CHI. Does it really matter for anybody? Is that kind of
It
uncomfortable?
doesn't matter. It's transliterated, and
Mhm.
when it's transliterated from the Japanese, it's transliterated as ki, and from the
Mhm.
Chinese as chi. But it's
The same
they're
thing.
referring to the
The
same life
same
force
battery.
energy. The same
Love it.
battery that
Yeah,
makes you
same
chug.
battery. I love it. Yeah, so going back to what you were saying about holding space when things can come up for our clients and they don't even realize it's not our intention. That reminds me a little bit of talking about scope of practice and with us massage therapists. And I wonder how do we, and maybe I'm way jumping ahead for all the things I told you we wanted to talk about today, but it made me think about it too, because I know in general I feel massage therapists are very caring, want to help our clients. We see them struggling with things. We want them to feel better, not only physically, but emotionally. And we always have to remember we're staying in our lane, that we're not trying to cure them of things or, give them counsel and that kind of stuff. So in a field where there's so much interconnected, such in the Eastern traditions,
Yes.
how do we as massage therapists hold that space without crossing boundaries?
Well, I mean, it's such a good question, Michelle. We are not therapists. So we're not,
Mhm.
like you said, we're not curing, we're not trying to fix anything. But
Mhm.
as I mentioned, I see our role really is to bring compassionate presence to the
Mhm.
space. And that's no matter what we're doing, whether
Right.
we're releasing a tension, a muscular knot, or
Mhm.
whether the client comes in and their mother has recently passed away and they're feeling
Mhm.
sad or grieving. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like my role is to just say, yes, you're welcome to be here in whatever is true for you right now. And
Mhm.
yes, I don't have anything that I have to do to fix it, but just welcome all of
Mhm.
who that person is.
Yeah, I love that. I see sometimes people going a little bit above that point where they really should be as far as trying to help. And reminding ourselves that we've got to stay where we need to be, and also it keeps us protected too. And I don't like to see when people are trying to have the client bring up more and more. So I see that sometimes with people too. Let's try to move that up a little bit and get it out and do this. And that's becomes kind of dangerous territory for me. It's like way more than we're equipped to do in our training.
Absolutely. I don't ask those probing questions. I don't try to dig. I don't try to
Mm-hmm.
dig. Like those kind of
Yeah.
questions are kind of like, let me dig. No, no, no.
Right. Right. Right.
That's not within our scope of practice. And I don't know that it even feels necessarily that good to the client anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel like what they're coming for is compassionate touch
Mm-hmm.
and presence.
Yeah. I love that.
They
Yeah.
want to know that you're just right there.
Yeah, exactly. Present. Yeah, it's present's so important. I always reminding students, right, that yeah, you can do the best body work, but if you're not present with your client there, they're going to feel that, and they're not going to make that connection, and you're basically working too like harder than you need to too. I feel like
Mhm.
you need that extra
Mhm.
level of connection
Mhm.
and presence, and that really
Mhm.
helps out a lot.
Right,
Yeah.
and you're right,
Yeah.
the clients do feel that.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
totally translates through the touch, the quality of
Mhm.
touch.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when you got into this field, you're working with traditional Chinese medicine and herbology, and what clicked for you when you're like, I need to tell more people about this, and I need to teach people this? Well, how did that translate for you? How did that go?
You know, it's an interesting question, Michelle. When I think back on my life, it's like sometimes things just happen by accident. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little bit like that with teaching. I didn't set out to be a teacher, but the
Mm-hmm.
first time I taught a class and I was invited to co-teach an acupressure class in uh, Santa Cruz. This was over 20 years ago. It was about 23 years ago, before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I discovered I loved it. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, I discovered the joy in sharing what I love with
Mm-hmm.
other people, and the joy in watching other people learn and grow. And over the years, as I've been teaching in a massage school and now in my
Mm-hmm.
own CEU school, really see them step more deeply into their professional capacity and what they
Yeah.
have to offer. It's really uh, I especially love working with people over time and watching that growth and
Yeah.
that evolution. But it's also fun to just drop in, like I am in Tucson for a weekend, and just
Yeah.
say, "Here's some new skills. Check it out," and see
Right.
how they work in your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love to see those moments too with the students where I've mentioned this a couple times on this live stream and in other conversations, where I get students who come running into the room, be like, "This is my new favorite modality. I love it. I love it." And then a week later with the new modality, "No, no, no, this is my favorite new modality. I just love it." And they just like everything's their favorite, and
Mhm,
they don't know
mhm.
what they're gonna do now because they love so many things. They only have so much money and time to take CEs afterwards to keep
Right.
expanding on that. And those students, I just love watching them grow and get excited about the field.
And
And then
so
they tell,
passionate.
oh yeah, I love, and they're like, what the other part too is then they're graduating. They're like, don't make me leave. I didn't learn everything. I said, I didn't learn everything either. I'm still learning. That's a great part of it, that there's no end sight. Like you can keep going and
Yeah.
going and
I
keep
know.
expanding.
I mean,
So,
30 years later, I still take classes. I'm still
yeah.
learning, and that's the beauty of working with the body. Is
Hmm.
there's an endless
Yeah.
uh, selection of modalities and
Right.
approaches that we can learn,
Yeah.
and that's part of the art of massage therapy. There's the technique, which is learning the
Hmm.
skills, but the art is weaving those techniques together and
Yeah.
developing your own style, bringing a little bit of acupressure in. Maybe you do a little bit of
Mhm.
cranial sacral. Maybe you like
Yeah.
to do deep tissue, and how you weave it together is your own.
Right. Yeah, I love that part to see them at the end. We have a thing here, we call it transition day, where they're transitioning from student to therapist. It's their last full session massage they do while they're here. It's right before they graduate, and they can do anything they want in the 60 minutes. And it is probably one of my highlights of my month when I'm watching it and checking out what they're doing,
Mhm.
because they're
Mhm.
doing just that. There's
Mhm.
not one single massage that's next to the other one looking the same.
Mhm.
People are bringing out they learn cupping here, so they're bringing that out. They might get some hot packs. They might do some stretching time moves. They'll get the mat out to do a shiatsu session. They're doing just cranial holds. I was like, oh, wow, so exciting. It's so
Yeah,
exciting to
when
see
you
it.
described that moment, that's
Yeah.
like it almost brought chills, you know,
Yeah.
goosebumps to my
Yeah,
skin.
it's so great. And the highlight too of that particular day, because they're going from, you should see them before the session, they're all like, oh no, no, no. And then after session, I did it. And they're like, I'm amazing. And I did the best session ever. And they always come out feeling so proud of themselves, and kind of like, yeah, this is what it was all for. And I feel good about it.
Mhm.
So I know I kind of got off topic there, bragging, little student brag
No,
there, but I'm very
that's
excited about them doing all
that's
that. Yeah.
totally what we were talking about. That's
Yeah.
the joy of
Yeah.
teaching, is to watch that, to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. So let's dive a little bit more into so you're gonna have this class, and um I guess I'll mention it. So it's a bit of a alliteration pause for me. Acupressure's potent points for common complaints, right?
That's
I love it. I
it.
love it. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm very intrigued about all of it. But first, can we break down acupressure a little bit? Like what is it? Who can do it? Does it have to be massage therapist? What kind of training does someone need? Can you elaborate on it?
Sure. So it is a hands-on modality. So you need to be licensed to put your hands on people. If you're not a
Mhm.
massage therapist, maybe you're an acupuncturist or a chiropractor, but it is a hands-on modality. And
Mhm.
it's my most basic class in acupressure. It's accessible to everybody. So you don't have to have a history or an education in Chinese medicine to learn these points. I give you very specific anatomical landmarks, how to find the points, how to
Nice.
hold the points, how to integrate massaging the points into your massage, whether it be an Eastern or a Western massage.
Mhm.
Um, and I call it potent points for common complaints because I've picked out the points that have the most efficacy for the things that we see most often in our massage practice: shoulder
Mhm.
and neck tension, headaches, insomnia, low backache, sciatica, right? Those are the things
Uh,
we see every day.
right.
And so, what I've created and what I teach you in this class is a sequence of about a half a dozen points for shoulder neck tension, a half a dozen points for headaches, for low backache, etc. You
Mhm.
learn the sequence, you learn how to massage the points, how to hold the points, how to find the points, what the
Mhm.
functions are, not only physically, but emotionally,
Mhm.
mentally, because all the points address the whole being. Right?
Mhm.
So I'll just give you an example. When we hold points here, small intestine 10, small intestine 9, which are very potent points for releasing the shoulder. Often it's very tight in that area.
Mhm.
This also, the small intestine meridian zigzags over the shoulder blade. So it's very important opening the chi pathway through the shoulder blade to the ability to reach out and touch and be touched, to the ability to reach out and grasp or let go. Right? So
Mhm.
so that gives you a little sense of like, yeah, we're releasing the shoulder and we're also opening that capacity to reach out and touch,
Oh, wow.
out and grasp.
Yeah.
That's so the physical and the emotional, they're not separate, and the way they link together makes sense
Mhm.
when you learn the approach.
Yeah. Oh, that kind of gave me chills now. I'm thinking of like how that, yeah, that's so big, mind-blowing for that. Because I'm thinking as soon as you said that, it's kind of, as soon as you went like that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my sore spot. And then right away it's like,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a sore spot. Which I have heard from different students taking classes, and I'm overhearing where they get on one of the spots for a point, and then they notice it's also a common area for a muscle tension to happen. Is
Yeah.
that just kind of a coincidence, or is that partly that we're thinking some of the energy is kind of getting locked in that area, or how do you
Absolutely.
explain it?
Absolutely. So from the Chinese perspective, muscle tension is stuck energy. So the way to
Mhm.
clear the tension is to get the chi moving through that area. So
Okay.
that's the approach of
Mhm.
acupressure, is to get the chi moving to
Mhm.
clear the tension.
Okay. So I know some students have tried, and myself, like, are we connecting it to like trigger points? Because you can sometimes feel this hard spot. So am I feeling something? Am I looking for something? How do I know I'm right on it? Is there a definite way to figure that out, or is it more like as close as we can kind of thing?
No, no, no. I'll give you very specific landmarks. Like, for
Okay.
example, small intestine 10,
Mhm.
I will
Mhm.
say where the humerus meets the scapula, just
Uh-huh.
inferior to the acromion. So I'm going to give you very specific landmarks. And then I go around and I check every student
Nice.
every time we learn a new point, and I make sure they're
Mhm.
in the right place. And sometimes,
Yeah.
nope, that's it's a little more superior, a little more
Yeah.
inferior, come a little lateral, blah, blah.
Right.
So it isn't a guessing game. It's
Mhm.
absolutely, you learn how to find the point
That's awesome.
anatomically. There was one other thing you said about, trigger points.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's a different system.
Mhm.
Um, my understanding, and again, I mean, I want to say my understanding is limited of trigger point therapy because of all my
I feel
years.
like a lot of us are too. Like there's if you read articles now, people are like, I don't even know if they exist or not, or do they like do they even like show
Yeah.
up or yeah,
And
so
I never
who
even
really
took
knows?
a class in trigger point therapy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't compare. All that
Mhm.
I know is that as a Western modality, it wasn't based on the Meridian system as we know it from the Chinese perspective.
Mhm.
However, what I've heard from people that have done, and this is just hearsay, that
Mhm.
have taken both trigger point and acupressure, is they find that the trigger points are often along the meridian
Mm.
pathway that connects with the area of pain. That's
Yeah.
what I've heard, but
Okay. Yeah.
I can't speak to that myself.
Right, and it could be very anecdotal, of course, and all that as well, but it's, again, something to highlight. There's so much more to learn about the body and what we're doing and what we could possibly do with the body. So,
Right.
exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Like, I just want the answers, but yeah, we're still working on it. So you did mention, I think it was small intestine that you gave us your example there. So for meridian lines, I hear they're all, and I'm gonna asking you this like I don't know any information, so I can kind of make sure we get right down to the very basics of understanding that the meridian lines are named after organs in the body. Does that mean that they are related to those organs, or can you elaborate on that? Because I
Sure.
know
Well,
people have said like, oh, if it hurts there, that could mean that that organ is out of whack. But then people have said, no, that's not true. So,
it doesn't necessarily mean if you have tension or pain or sore points in the small intestine meridian, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with your the physical organ of the small intestine,
mhm.
because I'll tell you why. The Chinese understanding and definition of the organ is much bigger than the physical organ. Yes,
Mm.
when we work on the small intestine meridian, it does nourish and bring energy. There are internal pathways that go to the internal organs.
Mhm.
However, the small intestine has much more to do, much more in terms of its function than the actual physical organ. And I'll just give you a little example. We know that it's responsible for sorting, right? It sorts this is
Mhm.
what the Chinese would say, the pure from the impure, and the impure gets passed to the large intestine for elimination, and the
Mention, right.
pure gets absorbed into the bloodstream, the nutrients.
Yeah.
So the nickname for the small intestine in Chinese medicine is the secretary to the heart. It
Oh,
decides who gets in to see the heart by deciding, by sorting the pure from the
yeah.
impure, the pure being absorbed into the bloodstream, then
Right.
gets circulated through the heart.
Right.
Right? So the small intestine is also about having boundaries. So then it brings it into
Mm.
its physical function is related
Yeah.
emotionally. Who gets in to see the heart? Who do we let in? Who is it
Oh,
appropriate to let in?
yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta take more
One
classes in
example.
this. Really? And part of the thing I haven't taken, of course, I the track I took in school is 20 years later, it just taking bits and pieces, not any excuses and things. But I also know sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Do you see students in your classes say, there's no way I'm gonna remember all these points and all the meridians and what they do? Does it just matter how you get it broken down to yourself and how you take the classes?
Let me just show you what I do
Okay.
to, hold on one second. They don't get overwhelmed because I give them a booklet, whoops, with the points, the locations, a diagram, and function. And the booklet, I purposely make it the size that can fit on your massage table so you can reference it as you're working. When I first learned, I
Mhm.
referenced books. So I
Mhm.
don't expect people to memorize
Yeah.
all the points and functions. They can reference their book. They can go, oh, my client has sciatica. They can look sciatica up.
Mhm.
It shows them what points to go to. It shows them how to find the points. And when I learned that, that's what I did. I referenced the books, and over time,
Mhm.
by repeating and using the information over and over again, it went into my hands and into my mind, and I memorized it. But I never sat down and studied it. I just
Yeah.
used it. I used
Yeah.
it on myself. And then with
Mhm.
my reference books, I used it on my clients. So this is actually the text for the class, and it's a
Nice.
booklet that I wrote, and it match every point that we learn in the class is
I love that.
diagrammed here.
I love that you bring that up because the students are always day one, like they're never going to remember any of this. And, we start introducing all the names of the bones and the regions of the body and the names of the techniques and the holds and all the other things. And no one said you had to memorize everything. And it's so good to know that we're encouraging, like, go ahead and do it. I recently took some manual lymphatic drainage classes, and asking my friends and family, come on, let me put my book on top of you so I can do the work while I'm remembering, because otherwise I'll forget what I learned in the class because I'm trying to just muddle
Right.
through it, or I won't use it if I don't try to keep
Yeah.
recreating it with the manual.
Well,
Yeah.
this isn't a whole book that you have to put on top of your client. It's
Right.
a little booklet.
Right,
And
right,
when you
right.
open it and your client's face up, it fits next to their head. And
Uh-huh.
so they don't even know that it's there. They don't,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a small piece of paper,
Yeah,
but
that's really nice.
it's organized. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is
I
how I learned. And in terms, you also asked about remembering the meridians.
Mhm.
Um, that's actually a whole nother class. This is potent
Mm.
points for common complaints.
Yeah.
If the approach interests you and you want to go deeper,
Mhm.
then I do have online meridians, Meridian acupressure, 5 element acupressure. Then they can go deeper. And the way that my program online is set up is it's layered. So you learn the basics, then you learn a little more.
Okay.
Then and the layers stack on top of each other so that again it's less overwhelming.
I love that. So you have, I'm gonna put, is it the Open Pathways massage website that they could find out more information about
Yes,
those classes?
openpathwaysmassage.com is
Okay.
my website. And there are links all over Open Pathways Massage to my Teachable site. Teachable houses my online CEO
Oh,
school.
nice.
And on my Teachable site, I do have an 8-month program called Integrating Chinese Medicine into Massage Therapy.
Great.
And that's where, like I said, I do the layering. There are 4
Mhm.
courses, each
Okay.
one going a little deeper into the approach, and each one giving you more and more hands-on skills.
Okay. And is that a self-study pace, or is it live webinar? Teachable
It's
self-study.
live
Oh, sorry.
online. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
there with the students, checking their
Nice.
points, answering questions. I like to work with people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, that's so great. I didn't realize that, and I'm excited to go check that out. I didn't see that part on the website, so we'll make sure we'll check that out.
There's a
Uh,
page on my website called CEU Programs, and
okay.
that page is dedicated to my program,
Okay.
Integrating Chinese Medicine into Massage Therapy.
Oh, I love that. And then you said you had your school, and can you tell us where your school is located?
Well, right now it's virtual.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
it's hosted on my Teachable site, and
okay,
it's a right now it's primarily an online CEU school. Of
okay.
course, I made that transition
Yeah, we had
when
to
the
out of
pandemic
necessity.
happened,
Yeah.
like everybody.
Mhm.
But what I did is I really revamped my curriculum to make it online friendly.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I changed it up in a way that really works on Zoom. Because not
Oh,
everything, as you might know, Michelle,
yeah,
works
yeah,
so well in
yeah.
terms of training body workers on Zoom. But this
Right.
particular program is designed for Zoom.
That's so awesome.
Mhm.
And you had mentioned earlier something about being able when you were learning, doing it, working it on yourself. The points class. Are there a lot of the protocols that are able to work on yourself, or is it more on the front of the
Absolutely.
body that we can still find?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Most of the points you can hold on yourself. And
Mhm.
I do teach people, first of all, that's the first place they find the point is on themselves before they
Okay,
start finding them on another person in class.
nice.
And so you learn how to apply the sequence to yourself,
Okay.
and then you learn on another
Oh,
person.
that's so great.
When I was going to the Acupressure Institute, I worked on myself every day, and that's how I really reinforced and learned
Mhm,
what
mhm.
was being presented to me in class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so cool. I love that. In your classes, do you notice that that there is any kind of pushback or not pushback's not the right word I'm looking for. Any challenges that more Western trained therapists have with trying to connect to this work?
Chinese.
Or, and maybe not necessarily from your classes because you've broken it down so nicely to help people, but maybe you've heard of people saying, "Oh, I can't get into that because it just doesn't make sense to me. I can't connect to it." And are there any ways to kind of teach people how to maybe try it again or with a different approach to kind of make that connection?
I mean, I don't really get that feedback in my
Oh,
classes
that's
that
great.
it yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because like you said, I do break it down so it's
Mhm.
very digestible,
Yeah.
and it's digestible for Westerners.
Mhm.
Um, I thought what you were going to ask me about is do people sort of question, is chi real?
Well, that
Like,
part of it too, right? Because it's something like,
yeah,
"Well, I can't
yeah,
feel it and see it, so how do I know even
right.
what I'm
Which is
working with?" Yeah.
Yes, and interestingly, I mean, when the Chinese system developed thousands of years ago, there
Mhm.
were not any devices that could measure electromagnetic devices that could measure qi, but now there are
Mhm.
and we know that the body is actually um, innumerable electromagnetic connections, and
Mhm.
and that it's fueled through the ingestion of air and food, and that is exactly what the Chinese said thousands of years ago. They said
Yeah.
spleen transforms the essence of food into qi, and the lungs transform the essence of air into qi. And now we know
Mhm.
in the West that actually that's what fuels these bioelectrical connections that they call qi and we call bioelectrical energy. It's all the same.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
And the devices that can measure electromagnetic energy actually read higher at the acupressure points.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so it blows my mind how they could have figured that out thousands of years ago and how they came up with it and knew what it was doing and a lot of working with others, I guess, and figuring things out and applying and trying, I guess, is all you could really do.
And
Uh,
wisdom and yeah.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh. So I talked about what your class is about, who it's designed for, and you did mention that you don't have to have any background in traditional Chinese medicine to be able to play along and get things out of the session. Do you
Absolutely.
hear from any of your past students about like victories they've had in their treatment sessions or any things like that
Yeah.
you can share?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's posted on my website. There's a page about Raizelah, and there's some testimonies, and you'll actually read in the testimonies some of my students talking about how it's. They use the word. One of my students used the word how it elevated massage practice. Another one of my students talked about how it distinguished their practice from other people's practices. Another student talks about how much their clients get out of it. It's the About Raizelah page on my website. I'm not so good at bragging about my
I know, we
business.
never are, and I put you on the spot, and I didn't even tell you I was gonna do that.
That's okay. Yeah.
I know it's a challenge, but those victories are really amazing. It's really, really great, and to hear that back too, because sometimes I think we're, as educators, like, are we even getting through to people? Are they gonna even take this with them? And then you hear them come back excited about something that they had a breakthrough, or perhaps I know that I've had clients even who I'm trying. I'm like, wait a second, I remember this technique or this total different approach. Let me see if they're up for it, and let's try it. And then boom, like something moves finally, and some feels a shift and a change. And I can see this being so helpful in that, particularly with this no pain, no gain mentality that out there we see a lot of people have out there. And I don't see it as much in mine. I think there's a lot more education going in there, and I see a lot of massage therapists educating their clients about it. But still, there's like, if it didn't hurt, then it didn't do anything kind of idea for people too. So, but do you think the acupressure techniques or approach in general will be less taxing on a person's body, both receiving and giving?
Absolutely. It's gentle on the hands.
Mm-hmm.
You can massage the point. Here's a point. You can massage the point, you can squeeze the point, or you can hold the point.
Mm-hmm.
And any of those techniques stimulate the flow of chi. And you don't have to strain your hand as the massage therapist. You don't have to strain your body. It is more gentle, and it does require a little education for the client that more pressure isn't the only way to create deeper results. But actually, when we're working with the chi, as I mentioned, the internal pathways from the meridians go all the way to the internal organs. So you're touching, so to speak, the body very deeply by moving the chi without having to use a lot of strain.
Right.
As a massage therapist, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think that's so important.
It's so important. I mean, we all want longevity in the field because we love it. And that's I put a lot of emphasis on self-care in my classes. I did want to just get back because to your question a minute ago about breakthroughs. I mean, I'm not in the treatment room or the massage room with my students, so I don't see their successes. However, what I do see is people continually coming back to learn more from me. People that took basic level classes want to learn more. People come back, they sign up for more, and they wouldn't be if they weren't having success integrating it into their practice. So that's how I see it, since I'm not in the massage room with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. The repeat clients, our repeat clients, right? They keep coming back because they love it. Our repeat students keep coming back too because they're getting more out of it. So that's great. And I love that you have more for them to do so that they can keep exploring that part of it and diving deeper, like you said earlier. So that's really awesome. Let's see. So, I asked about who it's designed for, and we don't need to know anything really on Eastern modalities. Is there anyone, it might sound like a negative question, but anyone that this class wouldn't fit well for? No,
if they have the interest, if they want to learn, it's good.
I love it.
That's all it takes is some interest and desire to learn.
Yeah.
And if they're not massage therapists yet, like if they're still in the program at ASIS, they can still take it, and then, they'll have it in their back pocket to bring out when they are.
Yeah.
Working.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. And just a minute ago, you had mentioned too, talking about our clients and sometimes having to get them on board with it too. Do you have advice for that, to how to approach that, especially if clients are expecting a certain type of session, is only used to, the neuromuscular work or Swedish-based work? What do you encourage?
Yes, I do. I when I work with clients, I do talk to them about the approach so that they're not surprised. And I encourage my students also to talk to their clients. And so if you're going to be using a more gentle approach to acupressure, like I was showing you, holding a point for a couple of minutes, then holding another point, I will say to them at the beginning of the session, hey, I know a half a dozen points or so. I know a series of points that can really help you with the headaches that you're having. I'd like to carve out 10 minutes of the session to hold these points. Is that okay with you?
Mhm.
I get there okay. And then when my hands are more still and they're holding the points more quietly, they're not wondering like, what's going on? How come
Yeah.
she's not massaging me? I've already
Mhm.
told them. They've already
Mhm.
said yes. And I've
Mhm.
never had a client come back to me and go, oh, why did you do that?
Right.
They're happy because they feel better.
Mhm.
Um, so that's if you want to use the more gentle style, which I call the Jin Shin style of just holding points in a quiet way. If you want to stimulate the points through actual massaging them, doing this, what I call silver dollar polishing and squeezing,
Mhm.
then it's integrated into the massage and your clients don't even know you're working on acupressure points. They just know you're working in whatever area
Yeah.
and it's part of the massage.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, get it in sneakily, not really sneakily. It's still working in the same areas, but yeah, it's something important for students to know and people in the field, of course, still that you need to explain what you're doing to your clients before you start the
Yeah.
session. That's really
Yeah.
important.
You need to explain, but not over explain because they're not
Mhm.
here for massage education. I mean, you might
Mhm.
integrate several modalities into your practice and they don't
Right.
know which is cranial sacral and which is a deep
Mhm.
tissue technique.
Yeah,
They just know that it feels good and it helps them.
right. Yeah, yeah, full session. Make very, very good points. Absolutely.
No pun intended.
I didn't even catch that one. That's good. I love it. So tell us about the class in Tucson. So when is it? How many hours? Give us the
February 5th and 6th. It's a Saturday and Sunday. It fits very nicely into a weekend. 7.5 hours of class each day. So it's 15 CEUs.
Mhm.
And yes, there'll be a lunch break, of course.
Yes.
You'll have a chance to work on yourself, to work on each other, bring a set of sheets, wear comfortable clothing. We can do this clothes on. You can also do it with if you're working on your client's clothes off, either way.
Mhm.
Um, what else should I let them know? What have I forgotten,
Let's see.
Michelle?
Well, we did have a question that came through our Facebook. Thanks, Kimberly, for joining. So, is the course can it be done entirely through Zoom or through a platform? So, to clear that, I'll try to clear up part, and you correct me. So
Yeah.
the acupressure for potent points, acupressure's potent points for common complaints. That will be February 5th and 6th in Tucson is a live in-person class. And so you can find out more information about that on our, if you want to go to our website or, which is really
Yes.
funny, workshops will be listed on there as well. And also you can find out more information about all of Raizelah's classes here. But the ones that are through Teachable that are virtual, does that include the acupressure potent points as well?
I do also teach in my own online massage school acupressure's potent points for common complaints. So, yes, it is available on Zoom. However, if you can make it to Tucson, come do
Yeah,
it in person. It's
yeah,
lovely to actually be together
right.
in
Yeah,
person.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then if you take it in person and you want to explore more, then that's a great place to keep bouncing off and exploring more with you there as well.
right.
So I
That's
love that.
absolutely right.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's great. And thanks for that question, Kimberly. That's great to clear that up to make sure because we're talking about a couple different things at the same time. So um but I would love to sit in your class and learn from you. I've learned so much today already.
Mhm.
And
Love
I
to have
think
you.
I'm like I'm out of town that weekend, which I'm helping teach an MLD class actually.
Nice.
And but now I have so many options I can go to explore on your website too, and expand on that a little bit more because it's always I speak for myself, but I hear from students too that it seems kind of overwhelming sounds a little extreme, but it does in a way. Like, I don't know if I'll ever remember all this stuff, but to break it down in these pieces, I
Mhm.
don't need to be a Asian modality provider. I can just take pieces from the modality and the body work and incorporate it into what I already love and do all the
Yes.
time anyway. So
Yes.
I love
Yes.
that. That's
Yeah. That's
great.
why I call my school Open Pathways Institute for Integrative Massage, because you can integrate what I'm teaching into whatever you're doing. Doesn't
Right.
matter what massage modality you already do. It can
Yeah,
all be integrated.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. Anything else you want to share about your classes or anything before I ask you your hot seat questions -1?
I can't think of anything else. If anybody else has any questions, feel free. They can put them in. There's a chat box.
Yeah, yep, that's it. And Kimberly did say thanks for clarifying. She's in Virginia currently in massage school. So thanks for joining us live, Kimberly. And definitely check out, I'll put on the website again to find out more information. Lots and lots of information on the website of different classes, but also just really great information to get to know who you are and your background as well. So make sure you check that out for future classes. Check out our website for our workshops. We are always expanding, but we have a lot of regularly scheduled kinesiology review classes. Well, they're kind of, it's not called kinesiology review, but you get a lot of kinesiology review for those therapists that have been in the field for a while and kind of forgot what all those muscles were and how to find them. So really great, always those. And we've got more coming on and guests coming in like yourself that's coming and doing that class for us. So we got a lot coming your way. Some things virtually as well is really exciting. All right. So are you ready for the hot seat questions? Okay. Everyone always reacts differently to them. So it's always fun for me. I'm like, of course, I'm the one that doesn't have to do it. So I get excited. All right. So those who watch the show, as I like to call it, often will know which one I skip. But I'm going to ask you. So if you weren't in the bodywork field or massage therapist, what occupation would you most like to have?
Well, I did think really seriously often about going to acupuncture school. So that probably would be my second choice, but I'm happy with my first choice because I like working with my hands.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. So then if money or circumstances were not issues, where would you most like to live in the world?
That's interesting because I did just move a few months ago up to Washington State, and I love it here. It's beautiful. But if money and work were, I'd want to live near my loved ones.
Oh, are they spread out a little bit or?
Well, my daughter is in California. I'm up in Washington State. My son is still with me. He's a senior in high school, but
Okay.
and my partner's here
Nice.
with me as well. So I just want to be with my loved ones.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. At least you're on the same coast there. You can kind of travel up and down, see your daughter, and have her come up and visit.
Yeah, we did recently.
Yeah. What is your most treasured possession?
My hands.
I love that. That's the first time. I've done like 40 of these interviews so far almost. So yeah, that's a good one. And this one usually trips up a lot of people because they're like, I'm not into things and stuff. And I get that. But then I always find some funny and interesting things that people have, that gifts that someone gave them or heirlooms and things like that. So I love the hands. I think now other people are probably going to steal this. What would you tell your 18-year-old self? And maybe what do you tell your son now that you probably wish you would have told, somebody would have told you, I guess, maybe because you're the same age now?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Follow your heart and take good care of yourself.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I think the self-care thing doesn't come across, for me at least, it didn't come across so much later being in this field. And then we're always bad about it, right? We tell our clients one thing and then we do something else. But I love that. So side note, do you have any self-care tips for anybody that you like to incorporate?
Well, as I said, everything that you learn in class, you can use as self-care. You can be doing self-acupressure on yourself. We will start every day of class with some additional self-care. Because I am a registered yoga teacher and I have that background, I will teach some gentle stretches.
Nice.
Sometimes we do some guided meditations, circulation of chi meditations, or some very simple qigong exercises just to connect with our own energy. I always like to start class that way. It supports students in their own embodiment and feeling the benefits of the work in themselves. And
Yeah.
that's so important to know it in yourself so that you
Mhm.
know how, when it's appropriate or how it's appropriate to deliver it with your clients.
Oh, I love that. That is so great. See, another reason to take the class. Get some good self-care and self-love in those classes. I love it.
Every
So
single one. Yeah.
one more time, make sure you check out openpathwaysmassage.com for more information. Lots of great classes to take. And Raizelah, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today. I learned so much. I can't wait to see you in a class, hopefully someday soon. And I hope some of our students too will either come to this next class or once they graduate, come to some of your other classes as well. So,
Yeah.
and
Well, thank you
thanks.
so much for having me,
Yeah.
Michelle. Thank you for having me here for this live stream. And also thank you for having me at ASIS. It's really an honor to come and teach. I really appreciate the opportunity and really admire what your school is doing in providing so many options for their
Oh,
students.
thank you
So
so
thank you
much.
for having me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I'm sure you're going to have a great time and it's going to be a great class. So, so thanks to all of our watchers or viewers live and watching the replay later. We'll see you next week. I'll be talking to our ACLS team, our sister school, the Academy of Lymphatic Studies, about some fun, new, exciting things that are coming down that way with some new class or course offerings. So make sure you come back next week. And so we'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Goodbye.